Hi everyone, it's Tempe. Before we get started, I just wanted to let everyone know that there are a couple of warnings with this fanfiction. The warnings are rape/non-con and underage. They are referred to a lot, but I will let you know when they are being explicitly talked about in great detail, because I know that can upset a lot of you. So use precaution. I've warned you. You continue to listen to this. So I guess that's everything. So let's get started. Can We Keep Him by Pastel Glitter Pen. Chapter 9, Bakugou. When Izuku got to school, he noticed Kachan, no, Bakugou, lurking around the shoe lockers alone. Mentally, he prepared himself for a confrontation, but Bakugou just watched him wordlessly. To say it made Izuku uneasy would be an understatement. In the hallways and in class, he still got the same jeers and whispers from everyone else. Bakugou stayed away from him, but he stared at him. It was almost worse. He would only take his eyes off Izuku when he had to face forward for class. As soon as there was any pause in classwork, he'd turn back around and stare. Math on the board? Staring. Reading in class? Staring. Locker room before gym? Slightly more awkward staring. Finally, in gym class, something changed. Another classmate tripped Izuku while they were doing their laps around the track. Izuku stopped to check the wounds on his hands made from the impact of his weight on the ground. As he debated whether or not he should see the nurse, a hand wound itself into his t-shirt, pulling him to his feet. Once he was stable on his feet, he turned around to see Bakugou? He asked, surprised. A flurry of emotions passed over Bakugou's face. "The hell's with that?" the explosive blonde growled. "Someone tripped me?" Izuku explained. Bakugou gave him a confused and angry look. "That's not what Yeah, whatever. Watch where you're fucking going, Deku." Bakugou turned to walk away. "Go see the nurse for that shit," he snapped before finally stalking off. Reminded of his injury by the stinging on his palms, Izuku headed for the nurse's office. He tried to tell the teacher before he left, but the man just waved him off. When he got to the nurse's office, she was already treating someone. She asked what he was there for, and he held up his hands. "Look, hun, I'm already dealing with a quirk injury. There are bandages and ointments in that drawer. You can handle that yourself, yeah?" Izuku nodded, heading for the drawer she had motioned towards. After he had cleaned and bandaged his hands, he went back to the classroom. The rest of the class would be in shortly. The next class was a test, which meant more staring once Bakugou finished taking his. If this was a new tactic to make Izuku want to kill himself, it was working. Izuku brought his test to the front when he was done, trying to avoid Bakugou's eyes on the way. No sooner than he had set the paper down on the teacher's desk, a hand gripped the back of his uniform. Turning slightly, he caught sight of that familiar blonde hair. "Bakugou, wait!" he protested as he was dragged out of the classroom. The teachers glanced up at Bakugou dragging Izuku away, but let it happen. A storm of curses raged in his mind at this faculty's inadequacy. "Bakugou, please!" he pleaded, as he was dragged out a door leading out of the side of the school. "Fuck! Shut up!" Bakugou hissed, throwing him against the wall of the building and trapping him there. Izuku stilled when Bakugou placed one of his hands in the wall above his shoulder, a little too close to his neck. "You have some explaining to do, Deku." "What explaining?" Izuku whispered. "What'd I do?" "Why do you know Present Mike?" Izuku looked up at him, confused. "Yeah, I know he was at school yesterday, flashed his hero license at me and told me to leave you the fuck alone." "Well, he, Shut the fuck up," Because actually, I have a better fucking question. Izuku tensed, frightened by the manic look on Bakugou's face. Why, when I went to your fucking apartment, did the landlord tell me your parents moved out 3 fucking years ago? Baku, shut up! Why, when I asked about the kid my age, did she tell me there hadn't been a kid there in 8 motherfucking years? Izuku trembled. Tears streamed down his face as Bakugou's chest heaved with the effort of his screams. The bell rang for lunch. Bakugou loomed over Izuku before letting his head fall onto his shoulder. They stood there, silent, except for Izuku's quiet sniffles and Bakugou's labored breathing. When Bakugou caught his breath, he spoke again. What happened, Deku? Izuku? Bakugou's head shot up, and he immediately went on the defensive after seeing the dark-haired man a few yards away. He pushed Izuku behind himself. Wait, he's... Shut up, Deku! Aizawa raised an eyebrow at that. Bakugou is so dead. Aizawa started towards them. Bakugou raised his hand to fire off an explosion, and then Aizawa's hair lifted. The next thing he knew, he was looking at a pissed-off Bakugou restrained in Aizawa's scarf, with Bakugou telling him to run. How long had he been saying that? I don't think I'm the threat to Izuku here, kid, Aizawa said flatly, his quirk still activated. Let him go, Izuku begged, grabbing Aizawa's arm. You sure? Did he hurt you? Aizawa asked, deactivating his quirk long enough to look Izuku over for injuries. He didn't, Izuku promised. Bakugou was released. You know him? Bakugou raged in disbelief. What the hell is going on, Deku? Call him that again and I will cut off your tongue, Aizawa threatened, which was, wow. He's my guardian, he confessed. Then he turned to Aizawa. Wait, can I tell people that? Why the hell wouldn't you be able to? Bakugou shouted. Of course, there are a lot of times when you have to, Aizawa replied, ignoring Bakugou. How long has this crazy fucker been your guardian? Bakugou sneered. Aizawa narrowed his eyes. People in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, he said pointedly. Bakugou glared. What was that, old man? I'm only 29, you insufferable brat. Wait, really? Both of you, stop it! Izuku demanded. They both turned to look at him. Bakugou, he's been my guardian for like a few days at the most. He took me in after finding me in an abandoned house. No, let me finish. My parents did move 3 years ago, but they kicked me out when I was 6 because I didn't develop a quirk. Our moms are best friends, we would have heard. Right, Izuku laughed bitterly. Because my mom would just tell yours over tea and cookies that she let her husband experiment on her child, beat him bloody, knock out a few teeth, and break some bones, only to drive him halfway across Japan and leave him on the street outside a convenience store like a fucking dog. Bakugou visibly softened at that. You could have told me that. You first called me Deku 2 weeks after I was diagnosed quirkless. I couldn't have told you anything. Aizawa, for his part, seemed content to let Izuku tear into Bakugou himself. You don't know that. I'm not that bad. If you had said something, I wouldn't have... But you did, Bakugou. Izuku's voice cracked on the last part of his name. Still, nothing you ever did to me could even begin to compare to what my dad did. Or what's happened to me on the streets. At least it couldn't. And then yesterday. Bakugou was quiet for a moment before he asked, Can I fix this? I don't know, Bakugou. Izuku looked away. Aizawa's here because I have a doctor's appointment. So I'm gonna go. I'll see you in school on Monday. With that, Izuku and Aizawa walked away, leaving Bakugou to process all of that. After they had pulled out of the school's parking lot, Aizawa checked in with Izuku. "Are you okay, kid?" he asked gently. "That was a lot," Izuku admitted. "Yeah, it was," Aizawa agreed. "How are you feeling, though?" "Tired, a little dizzy. Better?" It was cathartic. "I'm going to ask you about some of that later," Aizawa warned. "Yeah, I figured." "For the record, I'm proud of you." "Why?" Izuku asked, confused. "It's not easy to stand up to people, or to speak your mind, or to tell someone else about traumatic experiences. You did all of that today." Izuku hummed in response before opting to stare out the car window. "Can I fix this?" "I don't know, Bakugou." Hey everyone, it's Tempe again. That's the end of this chapter, and if you liked this, please follow the links in the description to go to the original work and support the author. If you liked this, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. If you have any suggestions for fanfictions or how to make this better, please leave a comment, or you can send the suggestion to my email in the description. Alright, thanks guys. See you next time. Bye.